Hey guys, welcome back to the Carla and Crappy Show. I am Crappy, Uncle Crappy. Down there in Nashville is Carla. Say hi, Carla.
Hi, Carla. Hi, Crappy.
That's good. That's good. We have no idea what show this is or what week it is, as our schedule has been somewhat sporadic during the month of October. But we've got a bunch of good stuff coming this way this weekend, and let's get started. I think we traditionally start with Ohio State, just so I'm not completely obnoxious through the whole show. This week, Illinois visits Columbus, as well as I will be visiting Columbus as well for the game. What do you see with the Illini and the Buckeyes?
I see that this is going to be a blowout. Ohio State last week, I didn't see a lot of college football last week, I will readily admit, because I was down hanging out with our good friends at Pod Camp Pittsburgh 7. But the Ohio State-Penn State game I listened to as I was driving back to my parents' house, so I listened to it the entire way, and then I managed to watch most of the fourth quarter once I got to my parents' house. And I'm not going to lie, if they weren't on sanctions, Ohio State looks like they could be hanging right in there for the national title race with the way that they looked last week. I mean, they looked good. They looked really good against Penn State. Illinois got blown up by Indiana. I mean, they're just their team headed in the wrong direction. I mean, Tim Beckman, first-year coach. I mean, you kind of want to root for him, but I mean, are the Illini really looking back and wishing the Zucker was still there? I mean, that could be a serious question at this point with the way Illinois has been playing. I don't see this as being close at all. I think the Buckeyes go in there and just trounce them.
That is what should happen. Ohio State has had problems in games, particularly in conference, against opponents that they should handle. Indiana scored 24, 28 in the fourth quarter. At home. Ohio State had to come back and force overtime against Purdue in Columbus. Last weekend's game against Penn State was probably the most solid conference game that they've put together. I'm assuming that those are mental problems, and you go into a game that you're perhaps not taking as seriously as you should. If that crops up, this could be a more interesting game than I would like to see for a while. The flip side of that is I think a few things changed last week. The defense played its best game of the season without question against a very, very good Penn State offense. And Braxton Miller, somewhere between the Purdue game when he got injured and last weekend, learned how to slide. And also figured out where the sidelines are. Obviously,
funny how that works, huh?
Yeah. His health is a big concern, and clearly was not an issue last weekend. Regardless of whether or not Ohio State is into this game mentally, this is an easy pick, and I'm going with the Buckeyes. Number 2, also as is our tradition, we check in with the Nittany Lions a week after I got to see them in person in State College. They travel to Purdue. What do you see there?
I see a game that's going to be a nail-biter for those of us that have rooting interest at Penn State. Like you just mentioned, I mean, Purdue gave Ohio State a heck of a scare a couple weeks ago. But then they went and got blown out by Minnesota last week. So it's kind of one of those things that, we don't know who Purdue is still. They started the season really great. They kind of fell off. Then they gave Ohio State a scare. Then they get blown out by Minnesota. They're playing at home this week, which I definitely think that's going to give them a significant advantage in this game. And Penn State did not look good last week. We saw the Matt McGloin back in his 2011 self as opposed to his 2012 self. Yes. It was a definite regression. It was definitely obvious to see that. But I don't think the Nittany Lions let this fall 2 weeks in a row. I really don't. I think they're going to find a way to win this game, but I think it's going to be super, super close. It could come down to a final possession, and dear Lord, I hope it doesn't come down to a kick. But I definitely see this as being, a fourth quarter nail biter. But Penn State finds a way to pull it out.
I'm going to agree with you on this one as well. I saw a headline, I think on Monday, the Purdue's administration talking about Danny Hope, and it was a vote of confidence that actually the dreaded a vote of confidence that actually wasn't. It sounds pretty ominous after Purdue has lost 4 games in a row. I see Penn State rebounding here. I'm not sure what Purdue has to do. They are reeling after a month of losing. I think tight game, yes, but Penn State's going to win this one as well. Number 3, we go down to Texas, and the Longhorns visiting the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Should see a lot of points here. Who's going to come out on top?
Well, I have to pay tribute to my former editor, Mike Huguenin, and say that this is a game battling the state of Texas. However,
that's actually not a bad George W. Bush impression, right?
Texas.
There. Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Anyhow, Tech has lost 11 out of the last 13 in this series. Mm-hmm. And I had to go look that up. I'm not going to lie. But Tech quarterback Seth Dougie, however, sometimes they pronounce it Dougie, so you can go teach me how to Dougie. I don't know. His pronunciation of the week. He's having one heck of a year, no matter what. He has over 2,500 yards this season, and it's pretty early. Texas had to rally to beat Kansas last week. To say the Longhorns are kind of reeling themselves right now is probably a very true statement, and I would almost go out and say that this is a must-win for the Longhorns. They absolutely have to win this game in a rivalry game, but I don't think they get it done. Texas Tech has pumped themselves up for this game. I don't know if you saw the new uniforms that they're unveiling for this game, but they're pretty sweet. In front of the home crowd, they're going to come up fired up. This is their game that they play for every year. I think Texas Tech wins this game and wins it convincingly.
Okay. You just did your George W. Bush impersonation. I'm going to do a Mac Brown impersonation. I thought I had a defense around here somewhere. What did I? I don't know what the hell I did with it. I thought I had one back in August, but now I'm not so sure. This one is pretty simple. Tech's offense versus a very, very weak Texas defense. You add that with this being a home game for the Red Raiders. What do? They do this with the Pistols. I don't have a head that I can put on like Corso, but Texas Tech is going to win this one and win convincingly. We have next we go to the West Coast. If you're looking at the schedule in August and you see Oregon visiting USC, you think this is one of the top 5 games of the year. Southern Cal has turned out to be not so impressive, but they have this game at home. What do you see?
Which is why this game is interesting, because they just got beat by Arizona last week. And USC would love nothing else than to destroy Oregon's season, as Oregon has done so many times for USC. The Ducks are averaging a ridiculous more than 53 points per game offensively. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd what they're doing on offense. And after losing to Arizona, USC is gonna play angry in this game. They should come out fired up for this. But the USC defense couldn't stop Arizona, so why would they be able to stop Oregon? I mean, USC made a ton of mistakes, ton of penalties, several turnovers. Unless they can clean those up, I see Oregon winning this game.
Okay. And this isn't so much a question about this year's Oregon team as it has been. Just this is how Chip Kelly operates. We're going to outscore everybody, and if our defense is playing a more physical offense, we might struggle on that side of the ball. That was certainly a problem with when Oregon played Auburn in the title game a couple seasons ago. I remember very clearly it was a problem for Oregon when they played Ohio State in the Rose Bowl the year before that. And it's tempting to want to bring that into the discussion about this game, but I'm not so sure that this is going to be the case. As you said, SC struggled defensively against Arizona last week, and the SC's offense or SC's defense against Oregon's offense. So you slow them so they only score 50. This is. Probably a tighter game than that, but Oregon is going to outscore Southern Cal and win this game in Los Angeles in the Coliseum. The marquee game of the year, although if you watch last year's title game, which set college football back decades, I'm not sure how anyone but a Bama fan or an LSU fan could actually get excited about this. Bama is going to Death Valley for a night in a night game. What you got?
Unfortunately, I see this playing out a lot like that national title game. I know. It's going to be tough to get keyed up for this one. LSU's lone loss on the season was to Florida, and that was a grinded out kind of game, which is a typical game of an Alabama-LSU game, as we've seen. We saw it twice last year. Alabama's coming off of a convincing win over Mississippi State. There's nothing that I can see that would say that Alabama can't grind it out against LSU just like Florida did. I think if Saban is smart, he'll go back and watch some of that Florida tape. I think this is going to be one of those ugly games, but I think Alabama holds on and wins.
Here is my wild ass pick of the week. There are a few stadiums where you just don't want to go play a night game. As I saw last week, Penn State is ridiculously tough. That is an incredible environment with a whiteout at night. Very, very cool thing to see. I don't think you want to play in Columbus at night. And geez, you certainly don't want to go play LSU in their building at nighttime either. This is based on nothing but a gut feeling, and it might turn out to be like a 10-7 kind of score. But LSU's going to win this game, and we'll see how that goes. I'm certainly not going to watch because I don't like to make my eyes bleed with that nasty, awful, dull football. But I think LSU will parlay the home field advantage, and come away with the win. We have one game left on our list of picks, and I couldn't begin to do this justice. So Carla, I'm going to let you introduce this and go right into your prediction.
Go right into my prediction. Okay.
Please.
Saturday, it's the annual City game in Pittsburgh, which is and you have to say that very carefully so you're not misunderstood on the interwebs. It's the City game. It's typically between Robert Morris and Duquesne. Typically, this is a game better suited for the basketball court. It tends to be a great game in basketball. It tends to be a good game in football, and I think this year it has some definite intrigue. A quick refresh for people who have no idea who either of these teams are.
What are you talking about?
What am I talking about? It's they play in the Northeast Conference, which is an FCS conference. The Dukes are 5-3 this year, and actually, if they finish out their year pretty solidly, if they can run the table the rest of the year, they actually have a shot at potentially at least tying for the NEC title. And the NEC in the last couple of years has finally earned a berth into the FCS tournament. So the winner of the conference will go to be the sacrifice of one of the teams in North Dakota, which happens every year. Whether it's North Dakota or North Dakota State, right. That's what's happened the last 2 years. This has not been a good year for Robert Morris, not gonna lie. They're sitting at 2-6. They lost last week to Wagner, dug themselves a hole early, couldn't rebound out of it, guaranteeing a losing season. Which means that this is the last big game that this class has to play for. And they're playing the game at home. There's nothing more that Jeff Sinclair, the starting quarterback, wants than to be able to say that he won a City game. So because of that, and because I happen to be an alum. Oh. Yes, I have the scarf. And I have the pom-pom. Go Bobby Moe! Beat Duquesne!
When Carla mentioned earlier today that we were going to pick this game, my first instinct was to go with Robert Morris. We have friends who work there. We have dozens of friends who are alumni. And then I panicked and realized that I might actually have to speak intelligently about this game. So I asked a former co-colleague of ours who may know as much about Robert Morris athletics as anybody on the entire planet. And he said this one is pretty easy. If Robert Morris doesn't get lucky, Duquesne is going to win this game. And I'm going to trust AJ and pick the Dukes. That may not be where my heart is, but I'm going to go with Duquesne here.
Go Bobby Moe!
It's awesome to be able to throw a game in there like that.
The best part about this is that the game is actually on ESPN3 and Root Sports is televising it, which means that I'm actually going to get to watch it in Nashville.
Nice.
So you can guarantee what I'm going to be doing Saturday afternoon at 2:30 Central.
I will not. I will be sitting in Ohio Stadium. I won't be able to watch.
Bummer.
So I'll bring it. Maybe I can listen on my phone or something.
I'll DVR it for you.
Okay. Guys, thank you very much for joining us for whatever the hell week this is of the Carla and Crappy Show. We will probably be back next week. We'll try to make that happen. In the meantime, enjoy the slate of games this weekend. And Carla, thank you very much. We will see you next week.
Thank you. See you next week. Go Colonials!
See you guys.